Hi, this is Joe and welcome back to the shop. One of the viewers who was watching my videos suggested that this pantograph arm can come off and that you can take the handle and put the handle over here. So I went and I did some looking at the online parts assemblies of this arm. I'll show you that here in a little bit. And we're going to try to pull this pantograph arm off and check out what's underneath. Now, one thing I've noticed on working on this mill is a lot of these parts have like a roll pin or a tapered pin, and this looks more like a roll pin here. And you try to tap on these things and I broke punches and they just don't come out. So what I've done to solve that problem, here, let me move the camera a little bit and we'll zoom in. What I had to do to get this roll pin out was from each side I took a flat file and there was a little rolled edge on each side. So of course you couldn't pound on that with the rolled edge. So I took that, hand filed that off and center punched it and drilled down on each side a safe distance so I wouldn't be messing with the underlying shaft here. Took a regular cylindrical punch and that sucker just pounded right out. So just a trick for you. So we're going to try to take this shaft off. There's over to the left, let me reposition the camera again. There's the roll pin here, which then pulls off this I guess your handle fits onto these little teeth on the side here. And let me position the camera, I'll show you the other end. And there's a series of bolts, 2 on this side, 2 on the other side. So we're going to take all these bolts off. We're going to try to brace this on something because I'm sure it's pretty heavy. Try to pull this shaft or this shaft cover of the pantograph off the shaft. And looking at the drawings, there's supposed to be some type of another tapered roller or roller pin right in here, and we'll try to knock that out. When we pull this cover off, we'll see what's underneath. From looking on the back side, there's a couple of inspection holes there. There looks like there's another castellated looking type nut that a handle fits onto. So I'm hoping we can remove this pantograph arm because I keep on bumping into it. And Charles told me he basically started out on these machines, I'm assuming many years ago, and says that you can remove this, put a handle over here, and it makes it much easier to move the quill up and down. So we're going to take a look at that, see what we can do. Here we're looking at a diagram that is on the Gorton website. Here's the pantograph arm, and if you look at the hidden lines here, over off to the right, here's the handle for the pantograph, and if you notice, there's the roll pin that we knocked out. And looking at the hidden lines here, there's another, they call it a taper pin, is here. And if you look really close here, you can see another, I don't know if you want to call that a castellated nut or not, but it looks like there's another castellated nut right here. And when I go and look from the rear side of this shaft, it does appear that there's another castellated nut like that right here. So we're going to pull all the nuts, or all the bolts, and we're going to try to pull this out so we can pull this off this housing off the shaft, and we're going to see what's going on underneath there. We'll see how difficult it is to get that off. So let's go back out to the shop and see what we can do. We can remove the nut here, and taking a screwdriver, we've been able to pry this bushing out, and so we can pop the bushing off. And looking inside here, looks like there's a washer and there's a gear drive for this spindle piece right here. And this is part of the actual tracer part of the head, where you move this up and down to follow the part. The part you're making is over underneath the spindle where it actually does the cutting. So we're going to pull this housing now and try to slide this off the shaft. So keep your fingers crossed. We're looking on the back side of the shaft here with those two holes. I don't know if you can see in there, but there's two Allen head bolts in there. So that's probably what's making the connection between the leftmost quill shaft to the Pentagram shaft here. So we're going to loosen those two Allen head bolts and pop those out and see if we can get the right hand side of that shaft to slide out. We've removed the two Allen head bolts, and now we can pull this shaft out. Let's get a rag here. Okay, so there's the shaft. So we're going to put this down and see what else we can do to get that housing off. Okay, by taking a small pry bar and jiggling it here on the end, I'll show you, we were able to pull that loose. Let's see if I can get this out now. Okay, there's the, there is the Pentagram arm off. Let's put this down. And as you can see, to the left there is a shaft there that has the castellated nut on there, and there is a tapered pin there, but we're not going to have to pull that tapered pin off because there is the castellated portion where we can screw on the handle that was normally on the end of the Pentagram arm. We can now move that and put that arm right on this this shaft right here. So interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean that shaft up, clean around the mounting surfaces, get all that clean. I might even take a 1/4 inch piece of flat plate and make a little pattern and put it around there so it will look a little cleaner. We won't have that hole there going into the actual spindle head or the mill head. I don't know. I'll take a peek at that and we'll go from there. So interesting. So that was a learning exercise. Thank you so much, Charles, for giving me that information. We've taken some Scotch-Brite, a wire brush on a drill, and went around and got some of the paint that was left over underneath that arm that sticks out for the Pentagram. And then we took the wire brush and wiped around the rusted shaft here, cleaned that up, wiped this down with some solvent, and actually it's looking pretty nice. So I have the arm that actually went out on the end of the Pentagram. I can now just slide that arm right here after I'm done painting, screw this on, and now we'll have a nice short quill arm or quill lever to flip that down, and I won't have to sit there and keep on banging my head on that Pentagram arm. I went and got the arm and put the arm on. So now you see I have two different ways to move the quill, actually three. An arm on this side, arm on the other side, and then I have a fine adjustment with a 1/1000th of an inch handle over here that I can move and adjust the quill depth now. So really nice. I'm going to prep this up for painting, and I have a little bit more to show you in this video, and then we'll wrap the video up. I pulled the gearbox cover off of the feed gearbox for both X and Y axes, and it's a good thing I did. There's virtually no oil, or virtually was no oil in here. And that's the same experience I got when I pulled the cover off the quill Z-axis reservoir. The oil was in there was virtually dry. So this had just a teeny bit of oil in the bottom. So again, good thing Luckily it wasn't sludged up. It just had very little oil, like not even a 1/16 of an inch in the bottom. So I'm just going through with a parts brush and trying to hit most of the gears here and some of the bottom. There's a little bit of sediment, a sludge, very tiny amount in some of the crevices. So I'm getting all that off, and then I'm going to drain this out, put the cover back on, and then we'll be ready after the painting to fill up the reservoirs with oil. So again, good thing I checked. Let's move on, do a little bit more here. I'll show you some more video here in a bit. This is the gearbox for the quill. There's a little cover that goes on. I pulled the cover off, looked in here. There's absolutely no lubrication there at all. So what I'm going to do, same thing, I'm going to go through, get my parts brush, put a little mineral spirits in here, clean all this up, let it air dry out, and then again when we get ready to fill the lubricant in here, I'll fill this one up as well. So those are the only two major gearbox reservoirs. The rest are, the spindle has some oil cups, the table has some oil cups, of course all the ways do. So we're pretty much done with cleaning. We're just getting ready to start paint prepping here. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more. We'll see you next time.